You really should watch the first couple of videos on money and change before you watch this one, because this is just continued on from the previous one. In the last video, we looked at how you make your community strong by spending within it. But now I want to look at the concept of an unsustainable state. If we introduce a system of taxation to the examples we looked at in the previous video, let's look at what happens. So I've gone out and I've got my £20 and I've brought it back, and at every juncture along the way, including my initial receipt of it, just think of that, it acquires £7 worth of tax liability, let's say. So 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. That £20, just in that one circuit that we looked at there, has accrued more than double its value in tax liability. 21, £42 of tax liability. Obviously it's rough numbers. This is massively significant because so many people have been having a go at bankers for fractional reserve banking and all the rest of it. Income taxation, which is actually a tax on the movement of money between people. Okay? It's a tax on the movement of money. That is completely unsustainable because this community is now starved because it's got to go and find this 42 quid from somewhere. If you exponentially look at this across the size of a nation, it was unavoidable that we would end up in the economic state that we're in. Unavoidable. Because of the way the taxation's worked. Now, if our community servants, i.e. public servants, that the taxation is meant to go towards, if they were doing their job and spending it on community infrastructure, it wouldn't matter so much because the community wouldn't be getting starved. However, they're not. I know, I've worked in government. I was one of the first whistleblowers in the United Kingdom long before Westminster was even audited, okay? I've seen it myself, going right up to the highest party levels, and I can tell you it is not being spent on community infrastructure. This is why so many things are closing down. And in fact, across Europe, they've got the so-called austerity measures. People, you do not have to accept this. What this is indicative of is an unsustainable state. When we are looking at the questions of sustainability and what it means, it doesn't mean doing without money, it means using the money properly. And when it's being used to pay warmongers and pay 20 plus million pounds for planes and bombs and weapons and fancy hats and bulletproof armour, that is not maintaining your community, that is starving it. It is not defending your community, it is starving it. And what's happening is, our so-called representatives are starving our communities through the misuse and abuse of not just income taxation, but also all the other pennies that they get in, and they're blowing it and then placing the debt liability on the people. You all know that. I don't mean to preach to the converted here, but I want to make the point of unsustainable state as a term of understanding the function of income taxation on that unsustainability. What to do about it? It's very difficult because if you enter into challenging the taxman, it is one of the few financial burdens that can carry a jail sentence. Bankruptcy doesn't. No, in fact, to owe money is not a crime. Owing money is not a crime. Let's just say that. So anybody who's bothered about their debt, don't worry, it's not a crime. The problem that we have is that the taxman doesn't like it when you don't pay him. Our problem as the people is that big companies like Barclays, yes, you lot at Barclays, and all your buddies at places like Amazon and all the other big names that don't pay your tax, if you lot paid your tax as you were supposed to, and if our taxmen grew a set of balls so they could actually go and demand the tax from the people who are supposed to pay it, instead of picking on the poor, then actually we wouldn't have the starved community infrastructure that we've got. Because trust me, the correct tax liability paid by most corporate interests would mean that no people would need to pay income tax. Okay? If all the corporates and all the businesses paid the tax as they should, there would be no need for people to pay income tax. And in actual fact, every community in the country, and in fact the world, could remain strong because the people would have the free choice to reuse their money, i.e. their change, as they saw fit. And the businesses, which are profiting off the land, the labour and the assets of the people, would be paying appropriate taxation for that. That taxation would go into infrastructure and create a sustainable state. Okay? It's a very, very big difference, and it's really quite simple. Now, I do believe that income taxation only came in originally to help supplement war. And we have virtually been in a state of never-ending war since then, I think, here in the West. We do have a bunch of crusading maniacs who seem to like to keep the finger on the trigger without stepping into the front line. You know who you are. I think we should stick them in the front line myself. But anyway, the point being, I would like to be involved in some kind of action to stop the taxation of the people, promote the proper pursuit of the taxation of the corporate entities, and bring about sustainable state rather than unsustainable state. I'd like to find people who are interested in that kind of thing too, but, you know, the state doesn't want us to do that for some bizarre reason. So I'm really interested in public servants who are also interested in creating a sustainable state. That's really all I wanted to say in this video, was about the concept of unsustainable state as a product of income taxation spent wrong. And I hope I've managed to make the point here, because obviously these are very sticky points that have a lot of influences on them. But I hope I've managed to, convey most of the salient points. Thank you.